It is yet another Sunday evening, and that means it's time for another live recording of the Auburn Experience podcast. We have episode 80. Can you believe it? 80 coming your way right now. We're going to get into a lot of different things tonight. Of course, Auburn potpourri. We're then going to talk about that new video board coming to the North Endzone. And of course, we're also going to give you a wrap up of the spring sports since all of it's done now. All that and talking to you a little bit beforehand and afterward. Let's get into it right now. War Eagle Auburn family and a special War Eagle and welcome to those of you that consider yourselves part of the E2C Network family. I'm Kyle. That is Austin. We are back in the saddle for another Auburn Experience podcast. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. War Eagle to you. You mentioned it in your little pre-show entrance there. We're on episode 80, and we have been inconsistent about this, and that's on me more than anyone.
I wasn't going to say it.
I will own that. But it does remind me now we're on episode 80, and that means we're going to have a lot of fun people we could talk about. So
I got one right up
some
here.
Receivers. You got one right up there. I have two in my head. I'm going to try and pick which one you're thinking of. I'm going to say, I think you would pick that one. It would be too easy. So I'm going to say you're thinking of Emory Blake.
That's exactly who I'm thinking of.
But the other one is?
The other one would be who?
Also a coach on staff.
Oh, Marcus Davis.
Marcus Davis.
I forgot he was 80. That's a good look at you pulling out the trivia out of nowhere. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. All right. Let us know that you're here, folks, as you're coming into the live stream, whether you are on YouTube, Facebook, X, as it's called now, all the different places. We'd love to know who's here hanging out with us. Check in, post where you're watching from, all that good stuff. Smash the like button. Y'all know the drill. We'll start in about 3 or 4 minutes here with our show. But if you've got any initial comments, questions, things that you want to ask us, want us to ruminate about, we can do that. I will tell you, and I'm going on vacation this weekend, going to the beach. And
I didn't know that.
Question for you. Do you consider, Austin, the Redneck Riviera to just be Panama City, or is it like pretty much the whole Gulf Coast?
No. It's not the whole Gulf Coast. I'm saying Panama City.
I've always been told it was Panama City. I'm not going there. I'm going to Gulf Shores, Alabama, and Orange Beach. That
much classier.
Sometimes. Now, here's the weird thing, and this is my angle.
Shark infested, but much classier.
Well, that's down where the Redneck Riviera is. Anyway, gets infested with LSU fans. Of course, there's Alabama fans there, a ton, but LSU fans just seem to come up from Baton Rouge all the way up there. And it's the weirdest thing. So when I go out to the beach, I always look to my left and my right, and I'm expecting to see an Alabama tent
or whatever
canopy, and then an LSU one. And of course, there's going to be an Auburn one in there somewhere. But I always expect to see 1 and 2 every single time. Do you have that same experience as an Auburn fan?
Yeah, usually they're more frequent. I think we've talked about it before. It started with me and my brother. It's continued with me and Emily. But I tally and take a list of all the schools I see on trips like that. So you'll have to report back what the percentage seems to be like.
We will certainly do that. I'll try to give our Conquer Club members any quick insights or shots of classy and classic Alabama fans that I can find. As they look glistening in the sun. And I say that with tongue in cheek, all that kind of stuff going on there. Speaking of which, we're not gonna have time to talk about this in the show. I don't know why I said speaking of which. I took a little trip to Auburn for the golf celebration of the national championship, and while I was there, I did one of my night tours around campus.
Oh yeah.
Oh man, you always forget
you were thinking about doing that.
I did it, and I only made it like a third of the way around campus because there were some really cool shots. Those of you that know, I did kind of a little mini project for E2C last year randomly. Got a bunch of little night shots of campus and buildings and scenic views and stuff like that. So I tried to go, I'm going to get those same-ish ones again, but I tried to go outside of the traditional scope of campus.
Yeah.
If you catch my drift.
All right.
The outskirts, it's all the central location of campus and town. But I tried to go get some things we definitely didn't get last year. Don't worry.
Teaser there.
I'll get your Sanford Hall shot. I'll get your,
of course,
everything else. Believe it or not, the weird thing, Austin, Haley Center, oddly beautiful at night at certain angles.
It's tall. Lots of windows, lights that reflect. It's good stuff.
Lots of architecture that people look at, and
Architecture.
architecture that people look at and wonder why somebody built this and why it's still
how it's still standing. What?
I,
Yep.
I still sit outside sometimes, especially when it's like abandoned, like it is during the summer, and just call into there. Anybody still in there? Like, anybody lost? You need help?
And you hear lost.
Lost. All right.
I'd imagine if you walked around like that, you got a pretty good construction update too. Then, like for yourself.
Not actually,
no,
because of the areas. And there was one section, yes,
okay,
that I went to that had some construction going on, but you really couldn't see that much at night.
Well, yeah, that's a good point.
I didn't make it into the inner part where the construction that I know you're thinking about. We'll be talking about that soon enough, I'm sure. Here more on
be a good summer topic.
Summer topics and stuff like that. All right, so we are about 6 minutes in the show, which means we need to shut up and start talking about real things. The show, for those of you that are not new here, you know the drill, but let me give you the rundown. If you are new to the show, we are about to record a roughly 30 to 45-minute show with 3 10-minute-ish segments. Our first one will be Auburn Potpourri. Talk about a lot of different things. We'll then talk about this video board that has been officially approved by the board as of last Friday. Got some things we want to discuss within that about what we know and what the future is going to look like. And then we want to do a spring sports wrap up because we got some big things that happened this week. Plus, it's all done now, folks. No more sports. It's done.
It's all officially done.
It's all officially done. Go
summer, woohoo!
I'm excited for summer too, but we got to wrap it up in fine fashion in the Auburn way that we do.
It'll be a short one. It all starts quick.
It all starts quick, and before you know it, we'll be talking about the first football game. Before we go down that rabbit hole, though, let's get into the show and get things rolling here. Are you ready, sir?
Yes, sir.
All right, here we go. In 3, 2, 1. David Housel described it best. We are living the whole of the Auburn experience. You can quantify it, you can qualify it through a variety of different places, times, events, national championships, other interesting occasions of new coaches coming to town. But no matter how you want to define it, at its heart and at its core, the Auburn experience is all about Auburn sports, Auburn culture, and of course, the Auburn family. And since it's about family, let's get some of those members in here. I'm your host, Kyle. Alongside me, as always, Mr. Austin Scott in chair number 2. Welcome back, sir.
Thank you, sir. War Eagle. Welcome back to you as well. You know, Kyle, the season is over. So the athletic season is officially over. As of this week.
Yes. We discussed it a few episodes ago where it was basically done for most people that don't pay attention to a lot of the, we'll call them quote unquote smaller sports and athletic events, but it is officially done as of yesterday. And we've got some pretty exciting things that we want to dive into from that. But I know I would be remiss if I don't give you the opportunity to redeem yourself from the last couple episodes where you didn't give us a certain number attached to a name for our episode we're on. So if you'd like to redeem yourself.
Yeah, look, if I can, first and foremost, we've been in a rough season of numbers here. This is episode 80. And like we always say with the O-linemen, it's better if you don't hear about them, right? Yes. That means they're doing their job. You don't really want to hear about them. Right. And so that's all I was doing. I was just hyping them up and letting them live in their normal day to day. But we're in the receivers now, Kyle, and we got some fun ones. I've already mentioned it to you pre-show. Emory Blake and Marcus Davis.
Two easy ones right off the bat.
I wanted to say another one, but I realized that he'll be next week. So I'll have to think about it. I'd love to hear from our viewers and our listeners if there's another number 80. But those are two easy ones right off the bat there. With some big moments. And obviously Marcus Davis not wearing number 80 anymore, but he's on staff.
Marcus Davis may be making even more a name for himself with some certain individuals that he's bringing to campus. And it's been pretty exciting to watch how he's been cooking, not just as he used to do as a player, but now as a coach of the Auburn Tigers. Let's jump into it. I cannot hold back my excitement for this particular topic. It is going to be a little bit of a preview to our spring sports segment we'll do, but we got to talk about it as an individual here. we have another national championship. Austin, did you think in your wildest dreams that we would be discussing 2 spring national championships for the Auburn Tigers?
Well, and I'm going to be nitpicky here, Kyle.
Oh no, don't do this.
And I'm just want to know. I want to know. We talked last week about the 22 or 23 national championships, right? Auburn Athletics.
Yes.
Does this one go to that number? Or it was that number included in any other like individual event type national championships that have happened?
See,
I would say probably not because we talked about swimming.
Yes, I was hoping you weren't going to bring this up.
I know, but I look, it was my first thought when I heard the news, and I was like, that's cool. But also, and it is still cool. Like they did it. They beat everyone.
Right.
But and you can let everyone know what we're talking about since we're jumping around the fire.
Probably should actually mention what happened here. The 4x100 men's relay team, and I don't have everybody's name listed out in front of me right now, but won the national championship of that event at the NCAA national champion. So yes, to your point, the team national championship, more on that in just a second, was not won by the Tigers, but the event national championship. That's right. They are the best in the land and the third highest, or excuse me, quickest time of all the times they have run this event for the NCAA championships of men's track and field. That's incredible.
That's some fast dudes.
Auburn
fast.
Thank you. You took it right out of my mouth there. Old Gus Malzahn will be so proud of you right now. He's grinning down in Orlando right now. So congratulations to them. We're super proud of you guys. It was an extremely nice surprise, but not to be outdone, Austin. Folks, we were 1 scoring point in how they tally up national championships for men's and women's track and field away from winning a men's national championship in track and field. I'm going to tell you, a daggum Gators. It's 3-peat for them, by the way, but gave them a scare.
Kind of makes it even more impressive then.
It does. 41-40, I think, is what the final team tally was. I have become more of a fan of track and field since we used to have with my wife, Jessica, and I used to do the Tiger Track show. We didn't do it this year. Of course, this is the 1 year we don't do the show. They almost win a national championship. But 1 point away. And this is Coach Leroy Burrell's 2nd year.
That's right.
Incredible. Absolutely.
It's a huge ordeal. And that's something I think you look at that, and I think that's one of those sports that if that trajectory continues, we love to talk about trajectories here, and it looks like it will. Yeah, I can see the Auburn family getting really behind and watching closely with when the NCAA track and field championships go on. It is the last of the athletic season. And so you can follow all the way to the very end, but really cool, really exciting for them. I think I saw someone kind of break it down where because you get so many points based on how you finish, right? Yes. So 3rd place means some points, but 1st place means more points.
I believe it is the top 10 score a point in some fashion.
So they add up.
Yes.
And it looked like, I think someone broke it down by the times, and it was like Auburn was really like within 1 to 2 seconds when you take away the teams that finished where from national championship with Florida. So that's really cool. That is not getting talked about enough. I know it happened late last night. It's right. It's a harder sport to follow, but really congratulations to them. That is super exciting.
It's got me even more stoked for next year. So as you said, congratulations to them. Let's talk about some other news, some exciting news, something that people have been waiting to hear, obviously after softball season ended. A lot of people were wondering, with the retirement of Coach Mickey Dean, where are we going next? Well, you have your answer now, folks. We are talking about not just the head coach. We're talking about co-head coaches. We have Kate and Chris Malveaux. I believe we are pronouncing that right. Please, Chris and Kate, forgive us because we're going to be talking about you guys a lot. So we'll get it right. We'll get it right. Are now going to be your co-head coaches of Auburn softball. And we'll be teaming up in different aspects, but both are officially the head coach. Reportedly, Chris has traditionally been more of the hitting guy. Kate has been more focused on catchers and base running. So I would suspect that would carry over to here. But congratulations to them both on being named head coach. And we're super excited to see where this is going to take the program into the next part of its future.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's unconventional in the sense that we're not used to it as Auburn fans. It's not the most obscene thing to ever hear about. This has happened at Tennessee, where they came from. The coach they previously worked for, her and her husband did it for 20 plus years. Were very successful doing it. Georgia just hired gymnastics head coaches. So it's more of a commonality than you would think, but it is definitely at first what I feel like is for Auburn. So it'll be a lot of fun and interesting to see. Um, it sounds like you were telling me that we might already have some staff hirings.
Yes, reportedly, and this is reportedly, I cannot confirm this at this time, but Riker Kaysen, I believe is how you pronounce his name, will be coming on as an assistant coach to focus more so on the pitching side of things.
Nice.
So I don't know what that means for any staff that was currently here. You know, there's some important names there that I know people are thinking of right now. But obviously, when a new staff comes in, things change. And that's what people wanted. So yes, that's what comes with the territory of things like this. But a new era begins under these co-head coaches. Obviously, a little bit unconventional in co-head coaches. But if you got to be a co-head coach, why not be with your spouse?
Hey, right.
I mean, people might say, well, hope the marriage, the dynamics of marriage, right?
That's right.
I know that could get a little interesting. But
would I do it? Probably not.
Probably not. We would not be able to go out in the field sometimes between me and Jessica disagreeing on how we're supposed to run out onto the field.
We'd probably get ejected arguing with each other.
Yes.
Not with the umpire.
Exactly. It would be funny if they did that in one time just to motivate the team and were being a distraction from the game continue because they were arguing each other, but really it was a ruse to get the team fired up when they were behind or something like that.
One gets thrown out, you still got a head coach there, right?
Exactly. Hey, if one's great, why not two? Right?
That's right.
That's the way I'm thinking about it. But we are excited to see Chris and Kate Malveaux and see what is going to happen with this softball team in the future. Let's do another update. And I'm so pleased that, as we know right now at this time, we always have to preface it when we talk about this topic, things continue to get better in the case of Brian Battie. Now, this news and this update, I believe, we're recording on a Sunday night, about 3 or 4 days old at this point. But I don't know which relative to attribute it to, but posted an update, I believe, via the GoFundMe that they were using to raise money for Brian Battie. Now, again, just an update again for those of you who don't know, we're talking about Brian Battie. Auburn running back was involved in an incident with gun violence, and there was a lot of concern about him being able to survive, much less what that meant outside of that. Reportedly from this family member, we have movement in extremities, and that was not thought possible at one point, I believe. So I don't know if you've heard anything else or anything like that, but to me, it sounds like we continue to head in the right direction for Brian Battie.
Oh, absolutely. And that's the extent of what I've read and heard as well. And I think, not that this is the most important thing at all. I think we can still safely assume he's not playing for Auburn this fall. But like you said, that this has been a roller coaster in terms of what the outcome could be. So any positive news is wonderful to hear for Brian, the Battie family. And we just continue to pray for them and pray for them to move on from a situation. He did lose, they've lost a loved one already. Yep. And we just continue to pray for Brian's situation and that they can move closer for his doctors, for all those involved.
Yep. Obviously, we, as you said, prayer is very powerful, and we hope that you will all join us in that and continue to do so if you've already been doing that. And we continue to hope that any other time that we talk about this are continually surprising blessings of things improving for Brian Battie and his family as much as they can, considering all that has happened.
Oh, you're doing it. You're doing it.
We are a little over on our segment, but I'd be remiss if I didn't do it because I
was sitting here watching that clock. I was like, he's gonna do it.
What a transition from a Brian story to a Brian story. Yeah, here we go. So, folks, I'm just going to talk about it real quick because we need to talk about it. And frankly, my point, I think, is be done with it. Most of you will know that former Auburn head coach for football, Brian Harsin, has has continued to make himself an easy target, relevant in some ways for continued conversation And this week there was a commentary made about an SEC coach making commentary about him and why some things didn't work when he was here. He refuted that report, saying that SEC coaches wouldn't make anonymous comments like that. I mean, maybe, but you never know these days, right? Most people, as you know from seeing online interactions, most people are pretty cowardice these days and won't say things to people's faces. Any quick thoughts on it?
Look, I'm very tired of it all. I'm very tired that we continue to talk about Brian Harsin and his Auburn tenure. It's something I think we'd all like to forget. We've seen the effects of it. I don't understand why Coach Harsin continues to stoke the flames. I guess I get to an extent that he is trying to preserve his own name and preserve his own reputation. I don't know if this is helping that, but if he would like to continue to spend his time searching his name on Twitter and finding out what things are being said about him, even so much as 3 years ago, then that is his prerogative. And I hope that he has an enjoyable time doing so. That's my official statement from the Scott household.
And I agree with Austin, but I'm going to also give you the other angle of this, folks. And this is a moment where we as an Auburn family, and I think Austin at least agrees with me.
I don't disagree with what you're about to say. I am more frustrated by the one side, but you go.
And I would tend to agree with that as well. If you want Brian Harsin, and folks, I know we're doing a segment about him. Okay, I get it. Like, trust me, whatever retort you're going to make to what I'm about to say, we get it. We've thought about it. Just listen, Linda, if you know that reference. If you want Brian Harsin to disappear, he can't disappear if you continue to bring him up, even when unprovoked, meaning like when he's not even doing anything for you to commentate on. Don't bring him up and, take wisecracks at the dude. His time was not great here. No one's going to argue that. But don't be hypocritical is what I'm saying. And again, we know we're doing a segment about it, but we have to address it because it's part of the Auburn experience. So leave it at that. Everybody just needs to go their ways and pretend it never happened, but it will be part of Auburn history. Exactly. Just shoo fly. All right. We made it through that. We made it through Auburn potpourri. We've got a lot to get into in this episode, so we need to keep moving forward. Let's do so. We're about to talk about that video board that just got finally approved and some discussions around that. And of course, we want to talk about our spring sports, a recap now that it is officially closed out the athletic calendar year. But first, we want to talk about our friends at Magic Mind. We have just been partnering with them for the last several months, and it's been a great relationship. And I hope that you guys are continuing to support them because, folks, we're talking about it. It's been a long year. You need some focus. You need some energy. You can get that from a lot of different places, but a lot of those options out there aren't the most healthy options, wise decisions for you, some energy shots, drinks, things like that. This is an alternative for you that is going to be a lot more healthy. It's got a lot of those special allergies or diet restrictions. If you need a low sugar option, things like that. This is where you need to go. Magic Mind, our friends at Magic Mind. I've tried it myself. It's a energy supplement to what you already take. If you're a coffee person, you could do it in addition to that, or you could just use it as your daily dose of energy to get your focus going for what you need to accomplish every single day. Visit them at magicmind.com/Auburn and use our code AUBURN. Auburn for that 56% off the subscription or 20% off a one-time purchase. Again, I've told you about my family member who's tried it, who's dealt with ADHD, and he felt like this was a great option for him that doesn't aggravate some of the symptoms that he has dealing with that condition day in and day out, but also gave him the energy and focus he was looking for. And again, I have personally tried it myself and can attest to their claim to tackling focus and energy in a more healthy way. So magicmind.com/Auburn, use our code AUBURN, 56% off the subscription, 20% off that one-time purchase. Our first major topic tonight, Mr. Scott, let's talk about video boards. Let's talk about making Jordan-Hare Stadium even more beautiful and more grand than it already is. I mean,
Kyle, another video board makes it more beautiful?
Well, how about this? like as I was trying to say, it's already beautiful. So anything extra you do to it just makes it even more beautiful. That's my perspective.
But Kyle, have you seen the pictures? Kyle, look, Kyle, it's gross. Kyle.
As you can tell, we come prepared not just to talk about the news, but the reaction to the news. It's the Auburn Experience, after all, and people have opinions. So do we. Lots of opinions. We're certainly going to talk about the reaction to it. But let's talk about the news. If you haven't heard, we've talked about it before. It was announced previously that there was approval being sought for a new video board, not as big as the ginormous one in the south end zone, but a second one in the north end zone to be added to the offerings they have at Jordan-Hare Stadium. And needed approval. This past Friday, we had a board meeting by the AU Board of Trustees, and as expected, went through for final approval. Austin, did you see any issues with this not getting approved? It was this, I guess, did it go as planned in your eyes?
I would think so. I don't think that really, outside of a couple issues in the past, things don't really go public usually, unless it's just, formalities of dotting I's and crossing T's. So no doubt, regardless, glad to see that it did come through, and that it's a new upgrade in Jordan-Hare Stadium. I think we're all excited about something like that.
I guess, and I'll talk about the specs here in a second, but I don't believe this is going to be it's not as big as the one that's currently there, but I guess it's like somewhere between the previous video board that was taken over by the mega video board. I think we're somewhere in that parameters.
I was going to try and find it, but I don't think I'd be able to quick enough. I was talking with a friend and we looked up the dimensions of the old one, the current one, and this one, and I think you're right. It's closer toward the bigger one, not like perfectly in the middle, but it is. Yeah, it's still going to be a honker, that's for sure.
Honker. And think about all of the students now that will not have to go.
Yeah.
For those of you that want to know on audio what I was doing there, audio podcast, I was turning around in my seat, having to,
it's true,
look at this video screen while it plays. And so I never sat in those seats, because why would you as a student when you can get there earlier and get much better seats? But problem solved. And I will tell you that where my season tickets have been traditionally these days, it will be much appreciated to be able to not have to like crane my neck a little bit to see the old video board, just to look across the field. It'll make it more picturesque, more even, all lined up and stuff like that. So I think you and I are pretty happy about this decision. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yeah, no, I'm happy about it. I am one who is usually a fan of the nostalgia. I like the old scoreboard.
I know
that's been around for as long as I can remember going to games. So I'm a fan of it. I would like us one day to talk about what maybe ideas we could come up with on where it could go, to preserve it maybe. But I think that it's time. It's like you said, for the students, for those on the south end zone side, to not be able to see a video board in 2024 feels kind of ridiculous. So I'm excited for it. I'm even more excited about it as we lead into what this means in the future, that it is a stepping stone into more upgrades and enhancements.
Thank you. That's a great segue into the bigger conversation we're going to have here. But as we do that, I want to read for you guys an excerpt. And I cannot stress, we're trying to educate the Auburn family here, Austin, about doing research before you make big assumptions, and especially go on social media and start
just read things. Just
read and then listen as well.
God has given us beautiful brains
and ears with which to listen. Exactly. Eyes to see. For those of us that are blessed with all those things, use the tools that you have been blessed with us. So here is your official, this is an excerpt from the statement that was put out by Auburn Athletics after the official approval by the Board of Trustees. The North End Zone Video Board project expected to break ground summer of 2024. My understanding is that's not at this point, to be completed in time for the 2025 football season. The project marks the first step towards modernizing the North End Zone. The video board and supporting structure have been intentionally designed to stand alone behind the seating bowl, enabling future North End Zone improvement opportunities. I will say that again, enabling future North End Zone improvement opportunities. to utilize the concrete frame as part of the future projects. North Endzone video board is 47 feet high by 154 feet wide, totaling 7,238 square feet of LED space, while the current South Endzone video board remains the largest collegiate video board in the country at 10,690 square feet. The new North video board will also measure impressively as the 6th largest video board in Southeastern Conference, top 20 collegiate in the United States. By today's standards, the two video boards combined will feature the most LED square footage of video board among all SEC schools. We do it big here, and this ain't even Texas. And it's kind of funny that we're getting Texas here. You ain't gonna be able to do it bigger than us. So
we like the screens.
We like the screens. We like the video boards. We like the lights, the energy, all that stuff. It's only going to add to it. Folks, a lot of you, as I address, need to stop just reacting to stories and read things. So many people I saw this week panicked. And why are we not expanding? It literally says in the statement and was said publicly and I think even spoken statements about this.
Correct.
This is the beginning stages of future expansion. So I don't know why that continues to be missed in this. And I think if you look at the schematics too, we don't have it up on screen or anything, but you can see how it's pushed back away from the seating bowl, as said. This is what has to begin the foundation, literally, for supports, for concourse expansion that's going to happen. This is how you do things in a smart, itemized, structured way that I think is indicative of what John Cohen has already done with like baseball and things like that. To me, this is another check mark for him of what he was hired for and how he's doing it in a smart, planned, thoughtful way.
I totally agree. I mean, we have all clamored for facility upgrades. I say we as in the general Auburn people, for especially Jordan Hare for a long time. And this is part of it. I don't understand clamoring for something and then complaining about steps to get there. Do I love the aesthetics of what it looks like right now? No. I mean, I think it's going to look a little weird for 2025 and it's not going to look perfectly right. And it's going to look like an unfinished project. Well, it is an unfinished project. And that's the whole point of doing it this way. I'm excited for the, whatever is to come of that. I hope that we get some clarity on that in the near future, within a year or two or so. I think we will. I don't think you do something this definitive unless you do have that plan. And so I'm excited about it. I think it'll be great for Auburn's future, Auburn football's future. This is something that is a progression that we've all been asking for, and it's here. So let's look at the whole picture and be grateful that it's coming.
Exactly. And we'll watch and see, obviously, over these next, I guess technically be a year process, maybe a year and a half when everything's all said and done, not till 2025 when it'll actually be up there. You mentioned that maybe, and I hope this is okay to bring up, that maybe where you have your season tickets, where you traditionally sit, might be affected in some way by this construction.
We are in, it is the first, this is going to be a very hard thing to describe vocally. We are the first straight section of the end zone before it starts to curve toward the alumni side. And so it is supposed to affect our concourse, especially, and then the sections to our left and at the top of our section. I mean, it's a construction zone. They're going to be building above us. I would imagine some of that would be on hold throughout the season, especially there's that stretch where there's no away or there's no home games and a bye. I would imagine they'll work in there, but yeah, I mean, I'm thrilled about it for that reason alone. That it says in the press release it'll expand the concourse back there. It's an absolute mess back there with that many people, and how you navigate, how you get around at halftime and bathrooms and all that. So I couldn't be more. Excuse me.
Whoa, he's all choked up about it too.
I'm just so excited to be able to move. I couldn't be more excited about it. I mean, I think that it's a outside of what you think of the video board, of what you think of another gosh darn TV in there, like there will be room to move, and that many people at a game need to be able to move and go to the bathroom efficiently. And this helps that. That's the whole. I don't think that we look at this as so much of, well, we're getting another TV, but we look at it as this is an upgrade and enhancement to Jordan-Hare Stadium for accessibility, for it to be a more enjoyable experience than it already is. And that's something to be excited about.
And remember, folks, on that corner of the north end zone is where the majority of the visitors sit, which means that you will have more room to get away from certain annoying fans. And
yes,
they will also have more room to maneuver as well, whether you want them to have that or not. So I think it's got a lot of functionality. I think it's got a lot of purpose, and I think it's got a lot of vision. And in a world where we joke on Vanderbilt for their sports non-prowess, and at least in the sport of football, normally they've got the leg on us and a lot of other things, but we can definitely say that we can plan and build video boards in a much more efficient fashion than even Vanderbilt smarty pants can.
Yeah.
So
look, we're not going to be walking through Plainsman Park just to get to the football stadium. So that's a win in itself.
You know what? We should like raise it up on a crane just one time for a game, just to make fun of them.
No, we're not going
to. Okay. All right. That took it a step too far. Took it a step too far, but we're excited for it, and we'll continue to update as there are more updates about it in the future. Big topic number 2 tonight. I want to talk about, it's done, Austin. It's done for the year. How do we make this? Don't worry.
Give it a month.
You're not kidding. July SEC Media Days will be here before we know it. In fact, for Auburn content creators, I know I speak for you in some ways that you're probably thankful.
Yeah, congratulations.
As I am, for
enjoy
get
your
a little time off, and chill out for a second. But of course, that's when they surprise us with recruiting things and all. And so, anyway, all right. So we want to do a breakdown of the spring sports, just kind of a high overarch about how spring went, the main things that we need to discuss. We have already done a bigger breakdown of softball and baseball. If you'd like to see that, I believe that's about 3 episodes now at this point, as that kind of tells you how both went. The fact that we did them a long time ago. But real quick, there's some really high points that we're going to talk about in this, but let's just mention that again. Baseball. Not a great year. Nope. Again, we've gone through the discussions about if you are waning on Butch Thompson support, I will
get out.
I'm not saying I will come fight you, but I might come.
He will come fight you.
I will throw a pie in your face or something like that for saying such things. I will fight anybody for that man. So anyway, it's one of those years that you just kind of throw out the window, and let's hope that this is just one of those weird things out there. Didn't make postseason play at all. There's that. Let's talk about softball, because even though with Mickey Dean leaving and an early exit in the NCAA tournament, you did make it. You got to play in the SEC tournament as well.
We didn't go to Clemson.
That's a big win there. The end of an era. Exactly. There was a loud contingency of fans that wanted change. They got that change, but there was, obviously we got to let Coach Mickey Dean go out the way he wanted. But as we've addressed in an earlier segment, two new co-head coaches coming in as a husband and wife deal to be that next vision, next wave, next era of Auburn softball, sends that in a positive direction. So how I look at it, Austin, is it's almost kind of negligible at this point with how bad baseball went. Softball had enough success and some new exciting things. We'll just call it even. How about that?
It was a meh. It's over. It came and it went. It was just not a great year. Not an exceptional year for either one, but but there's much to look forward to with both. So we'll have to see.
And it's not a commentary on the effort and the the team, the coaches,
definitely
all that
not.
Stuff. It's just an assessment of what is clearly out there right now and what happened. Let's mention. Well, we talked about it quite a bit. The golf team, they kind of won a national championship. The men's golf team, to be specific. We had talked about that last episode, the celebration, the party over that. I would venture to say, Austin, that men's golf winning the national championship the year, based on what we knew about the team coming the year, wasn't the biggest surprise in the world. Am I too far off from that, or did you find it as a surprise?
Coming into the year, I would say it was a little bit more of a surprise. I think as they got going, it was looking like, hey, this national title or bust.
Okay.
But I mean, I think, and that might be, myself and with a group of others in the Auburn family that didn't know a whole lot about what all was coming. I didn't know about Jackson Coyvin. I didn't know.
Yeah, I didn't either.
So I think that in that sense, it was a surprise of how well the program has been building toward this moment. But I mean, they ended and they had the best year of anybody on campus. And so I mean, it's the best year in their program's history. It's stuff you celebrate for a long time.
Right.
So it's awesome. Yeah. I still can't get over it. It's hard for me to still think about.
10 straight tournament wins to end the year. It's the SEC title. You swept your regional. You won the national title in the grand scheme of all that. And Jackson Coyvin swept all three of the major or the freshman phenom. And this is not us saying it. This is other commentators have made the statement. Auburn may have had the greatest men's golf season in the history of it. So when we talk about low points or meh part of it, men's golf elevated it. Not to be outdone was women's golf this year. And while we are talking about spring, can continue to remind people that Megan Schofield starting off the year with the U.S. Women's Amateur win was great. She did pretty well in the U.S. Open as well. The team made it to national championship competition rounds, and did some really great things this season as well. So I would also lump them in with holding the Auburn banner for spring this year.
Agreed.
Is the golf teams, and it's kind of a nice little pun there. You pull the flag out of the whole. Okay.
You're forcing that a little bit much.
I did try to force it a little bit. So obviously the highest of highs, I think, mostly came on the golf side. We talked about it in potpourri. Track and field, second year of Coach Leroy Burrell, and we are celebrating a team, not a team national championship, but an event national championship with the 4x100 relay. But 1 point, Austin, away from a team men's track and field national championship.
Yeah.
If that ain't the most Auburn thing, I don't know what is.
Oh, I know. It 100% is. And you mentioned it was men's golf a success. To me, the track and field national runner-up was more of a surprise. That was more of a surprise to me. But just because you're early in the Leroy Burrell era, you always hear about the teams like Florida, Arkansas, Oregon that have the national championships in track and field and the prowess. And to hear Auburn that was that close was a shock to me and to others. And so I think it's a weird comparison, but I think when volleyball had the big upset in Omaha a couple of years ago, it spurred people on the next year to follow it a little bit more closely the whole year. I think we'll see that with golf and track, truly.
And I hope this is just a me thing, that we will find a way to make an indoor facility for this team so that during the indoor season, they can actually host events and host more outdoor events too. Think this is the stepping stone towards that. So
they probably would have gotten one more point if we had a podcast dedicated to Auburn track and field.
Yes, because we're the thing that pushes,
or they wouldn't have made it at all if we had a podcast.
Can I literally just point out the 1 year we don't do the Tiger Track show, they nearly win a national championship. So apparently we were the.
So it's on you.
You're welcome. Well, everybody should be thanking us. Me and Jessica stepping aside this year from doing that show together.
Thank you for your sacrifice.
You should say, Jessica, thank you for getting back the time that she needed. Women's as well had some representatives at the national championship rounds events, and did some good things there as well. So we're really excited about the track and field program as well. Men's and women's tennis, NCAA opening rounds for both of those. I think the biggest story here is the abrupt firing of Coach Caroline Lilly, yes. And then the new coach, Jordan Szabo, coming in. I don't really want to go into it here, but I obviously, when you're fired abruptly, there's reasons for that. And I know there's rumors about what happened out there, but it's been in a year where they had tumultuousness with the coaching. They did still pretty well overall as a team, at the women's team. And obviously getting to cap that off with a new coach, a new vision, as we talked about with softball. I would say that this overall, when you talk about both men's and women's, where they fall and how we feel about them right now, probably, the above average, especially given what the women's team went through.
Yeah, no, I definitely think so. And we've said it before. You've been multiple times. That's an exciting sport to watch and exciting student athletes to watch at the Yarborough Tennis Center. And so to be able to still compete and do well amidst all that chaos is not surprising. And hopefully this only elevates their potential next year. And hopefully we get even more big wins on the way. They're there. They have shown that they have the capability and the personnel to do it. It's just hoping for a big special year.
And I think, if baseball doesn't have the very strange year of just off year they had, we're probably talking about one of the more impressive overall spring sports times at Auburn that we've ever seen. And, this is even including when Auburn baseball has made it to Omaha, or softball made it to the national championship. So what an impressive year, in a year where some of the more attention getting sports didn't do as well as you'd hope. These other teams in other sports carrying the banner. It's just the Auburn way. That's why we call it the Auburn Experience.
Amen.
Amen. So that is your roundup for spring sports. Obviously, even though all the teams, all the sports are done yet, we're not done talking about them, but we wanted to get our final thoughts on the athletic calendar year, especially for spring. That's going to do it for episode 80. And yes, for those of you wondering, we did mention Emory Blake at the top of the show. Austin did his homework finally. But we thank you for joining us for the show. If you want to keep up with me, do so on X at Kyle Loomis 24. Where can they find you, Austin?
Yeah, at Austin G. Scott on X, on Instagram. I had Marcus Davis and Emory Blake. If you got somebody else, I'm sure they're out there. I'm sure I'm missing somebody. I can picture someone.
Sal Canella, was he 80? Think
you might be right.
I think I'm right. Probably not, but
there's somebody from like the older day, like not older days, like early 2000s era that I'm picturing, but I just don't have off the top of my head right now. But
we'll
hit me up.
Hit him up. Let us know anything that you had to say about any of the topics that we discussed here today. Thanks for tuning in. And of course, and always, War Eagle.
War Eagle.
All right, folks. So that's the recording. Thanks for hanging in there with us and watching the show. I'll hang around for a few minutes with you all and answer any comments or questions you had during the show that we didn't address, and maybe some new stuff. But obviously want to give the floor to Austin about anything he wants to cover before he heads out.
Yeah. WT, don't worry. I have my hand over my heart too. And I did want to say hello to Miss Crotchfelt. Good to see you. I don't know how much you want to get into it, but Zach
is going in the transfer.
Zach is in the portal, and we will definitely miss him. We hope you'll stick around and keep hanging out with us when you get the chance. But we look forward to Zach's success wherever he ends up. We'll be pulling for him. We appreciate his time in Auburn, of course, and appreciate you always hanging out with us.
Yeah, and listen, I think in a day and age where the transfer portal is it's there, folks. You got to deal with it.
Yep.
You may not like it, but it is the way these kids are getting these opportunities, and you would be unwise to not better yourself and your opportunity if that is afforded to you. You should really be taking that up with the people who allow the transfer portal and the way it's run currently, if you have issues with that. So we wish him well. And as I echo what Austin said to Angela, his mother, who's been here and been a good supporter of the show. We know that with him moving on, obviously that opens up other opportunities for you to support, but we are always want to see you around if we can. And we still love talking about our Auburn baseball squad, even during the bad years.
Yes, ma'am. That's right.
Anything else, Austin?
I'm good.
All right, sir. Well,
yep.
You did good. You did your homework, and we appreciate you spending some time with us again.
Look, I can't say I was always a perfect student, but I tried.
Well, I'm sure that's debatable for some of your professors out there, but I'll leave it at that.
Hey, the diploma, I still got it. They still handed it to me.
Once they hand you the diploma, it's over. They can't take it back.
Yeah. Now, does it have Stephen Leith's name on it? It does, unfortunately. But that's how I'm going to sign out. Appreciate everybody. War Eagle, and don't search your name on Twitter.
Oh, no. What a way to go out tonight. That's I wasn't prepared for that. Oh my goodness. I'm not going to bring him up on screen, but I am going to embarrass him a little bit. We do have someone in the background shadowing, in a sense, our show tonight. You may or may not see him around in the future, but so just his name's Jesse. So if everybody will just say, if you can think about it, type hi Jesse in there in the chat. He's going watching the sausage made behind the scenes. And let me tell you, if y'all think it's scary here, it's scary behind the scenes. Okay, so other comments, questions, topics. We are at 15 minutes on the stream right now. I usually stay for about an hour. We're already about to be past 10. So if you got some big things you want to discuss, drop them in now. While you're thinking about doing that, be sure to smash the like button if you haven't done so, no matter where you're watching, even if you're watching the replay of this, that is still helpful too, if you feel like we've earned it. Let me give you reminders about what's coming up next here at E2C Network. A bit of an odd week. I am going on what will hopefully, well, I don't say hopefully, I always want more vacation. Probably be my last major vacation for the summer/year. Going to the beach, as I had mentioned earlier in the show this weekend. But let me give you a reminder. That means we gone fishing. No Wednesday night show this week. No Auburn Family Night. So I apologize to those of you that set your calendars for that, but I will be looking at a beautiful sunset in Gulf Shores, Alabama. And I'm sorry. You never know. I will never say I won't pop in somewhere, but the regularly scheduled programming will not be there this Wednesday. It'll be back the Wednesday after that. But we still do plan to have episode 81 of what we're doing right now, the Auburn Experience live recording, which will be available. And, you can watch the live stream as you're doing now or the replay on Sunday at 9 Eastern time. So a week from now. Of course, just because I'm gone doesn't mean there's not going to be content out there this week. So please do stay tuned, stay connected, following all that stuff across all social media, podcast, here, YouTube, home base of sorts, the TikToks, all those things. You're going to miss out on content if you're not everywhere. Let's see here. What do we want to talk about? I got confirmation that Sal Cannella was indeed number 80. It's like I do this for a living, and it ain't that lucrative of a living. Let's see here. What else? Auburn will go to the playoffs this year, Corey says. The playoffs. We're talking about playoffs. That's a bit of a step out, I think, Corey. I don't think that Auburn's not capable of surprising folks and going to the playoffs in the era where we have 12 teams making it for the first time ever. Your chances are better than ever. I just think we've got a bit of miles and miles before we're back to where we need to be. But I love the optimism, and I will never be unhappy with someone being on the optimistic side of the weighted scale. Let's see here. Thomas says, I need to do work on position breakdowns for football season. I think I need a new notebook. I can only imagine how many notebooks you have written out of analysis and stuff. We're excited to hear from some of those things. This is a question from X. We don't get those a lot, so I'll take it. Let's see. Do you think, I'm guessing what it's supposed to be here, do I think Auburn will beat California in football? I think is what it's supposed to say. If it's not, that's not what it's supposed to say. Clarify. But I think that's what you're asking. Will Auburn beat California in football? They did last year at their place. I would venture to say that they're going to have a tough time beating Auburn in Jordan-Hare Stadium with what will seemingly be an improved team this year. We even stole one of California's guys. And it's going to be at 2:30 in September in Auburn, Alabama. From what I understand, the weather's great up there in the northern part of California, northern central part of California where they're from. And I don't know that they're ready for the energy and the figurative and literal heat that they're going to be running into this season. So good luck to y'all. WT says, with the playoffs expanding, I can see Auburn football getting into the playoffs this year. Being optimistic, I think our record will be good enough to get in. I think if Auburn surprises people and somehow gets a 10-2 record, you're in. But I don't know that I see that happening this year. I love the optimism. I do. I truly do. I think maybe it's a protection for myself. You'll know how I work. I have to protect myself from the disappointment of being an Auburn fan sometimes. Let's see here. What else was talked about during the show that we need to hit on real quick? We're talking about the video board. Some of y'all said does not need to expand seating until they are selling out all the major games all the time. And yes, there is some truth to that. Kind of Thomas was talking about. I'd love to see 5,000 more seats added to JHS, but winning games will determine if they get filled or not. And here's the thing: I think if you announce and then open up a new section, expanding the capacity, that will get relatively filled up quickly in the initial season. But you've got to, like we were just talking about with the two different comments, show a pattern of selling out and showing up every single year. And Auburn fans do that, but you got to show it consistently. And I would say more than most, we do that. There's just a lot of, it's not as simple as the stadium looks full and we need more seats. It's not, it's a little bit deeper than that, as people would say. So sit back, be patient, and you will most likely see those expansions coming, as is literally pretty much stated. It is suggested and hinted at. It is basically said, we have plans in the works. I'm stepping out a little bit, putting words in their mouth, but that is pretty much what they're saying to you. Okay. Other comments, questions? What else we got? If the gas continues to go, about to go yabba dabba do down to Auburn to watch a game. Well, we're all suffering there too, Corey. So as a reminder, I'm going to give a little inside track to our Conquer Club members. If y'all haven't responded to the poll that we have in that thread on the Discord for our yearly get together, call it a quote unquote meeting. It's just more of a get together, and you guys can call it a meeting if you want to. We would like to do that soonish, and we've got a suggested date. If you haven't responded, I'd like to see you vote in that poll, even if you don't think you're going to make it, just so it helps us make decisions on things. If you're interested in being part of the Conquer Club, patreon.com/E2C Network. The link should be in the description on YouTube, and $1 a month gets you in the door, access to the Discord, and a variety of other things. And then there are different levels of different perks and stuff that you get. You can also join it by here on YouTube by hitting the join button. It's a little bit different. You get a little less, you get some recognition via YouTube, and we try to get you access to the Discord, but nobody's really taken advantage of that yet via YouTube that I know of. But if you want the full thing, Conquer Club, patreon.com/E2C Network. You can join here you can also join on Facebook too. There's just ways to sign up for that $1 a month thing. Thomas, the poll should be available to everybody. It should be in the Conquer Club tier. In fact, I think I sent you a message asking if you had, like a direct message saying if you were going to be able to or not. So there should be a thread underneath the Conquer Club that says the E2C normal or yearly meeting thing. So go look for it. Vote. Let me know your thoughts. We want to get as many people to be able to join in on that conversation, hangout time of sorts as we can, just like last year. So check that out. All right, little inside softball there for people not in the Conquer Club. But anyway, final thoughts, questions, commentary, derogatory rebuttals. Get them in now. Get them in fast while they're hot. Good crowd tonight. Seems like we had a pretty decent crowd across all the different platforms. So I appreciate you guys showing up tonight for I know these are later live streams. Again, thank you guys for allowing us to, or me to take a vacation this week, but we'll be back in the saddle next Sunday for another one of these. Just we'll miss out on the Wednesday show this week, but stay tuned for content across all of our stuff. With that being said, I think we'll call it a show. I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for being part of our little family within the Auburn family. Until I talk to you again, Worry.